What's up, I got green mega eagle. Alright folks, how you doing? Okay, so I decided to punish myself and buy one of these horrifically bad tin sheds in a box. Yeah, so this is a 10x10 shed, and I'm going to slide it into the 8-foot gap beside my house, in between my house and the railway. It's a bit of dead space I've got here, really. It's not somewhere you'd want to sit, so I've just decided to do something with it and tidy up the garden a bit, get all the kids' toys in here, paddling pool, that sort of stuff. So I didn't really want to spend any money on this, and I didn't want to spend any time on it either. So the idea is basically take this 10x10 shed and assemble it as a 20-foot by 5-foot lean-to against the house. Yeah. Looking at the shed, it became pretty apparent that it was only like sort of 5.5 foot tall. What's that? 160 centimeters at the sides. So I figured, as well as giving it something firm to attach to, because everyone knows someone who's had one of these sheds blow away in the wind, don't they? I'll also make a little wall and raise it up a bit, a foot to be precise. 14 pound sledge is a little bit of a lump in it. I feel like Guinness is a very appropriate beverage. It's like Irish Red Bull, Anyway, so I dug a bit of a trench and filled it up with rubble and smashed it all down. Here I'm just making some stakes to support a bit of shuttering or formwork, whatever you want to call it. I don't mind, call it whatever you like, I suppose formwork, that's probably the correct term. So we can pour our concrete in between the timber boards, and just knocking them in now. My stakes. So I've got lots of posts there, and I'm just using old pallets for this. I'm not particularly fussed about the appearance and the quality of the finish on the concrete. Here I've got a bit of a 1/2-inch timber taped to the spirit level, because I want one side of my shuttering to be a little bit higher than the other side, so the water runs off it and doesn't run into the shed. I think if you just bolt one of these sheds down into a concrete pad, you'll have water running through it all the time, basically, when it rains. Trying to get everything as close as possible. And mix up a bit of concrete. I normally go sort of 8-to-1 because my mixer won't take any more than 5 bags anyway, so I do half a bag of concrete, half a bag of cement rather, and 4 bags of ballast, and that gets me a pretty decent general purpose concrete, I suppose. I've got gaps. I've got lots of gaps here. So first load was just to fill up the gaps at the bottom, and we carried on filling up after that had cured. There we go, making sure it's not leaving any voids. I looked at all the options, trying to use railway sleepers and everything else. if I could have got oak railway sleepers cheap and relatively local to me, I would have gone down that route. It would have been a lot quicker, but you know, it still would have been more expensive, even if I'd only paid 20 quid a sleeper. And certainly if I was going to get it this high, I would have needed, I don't know, 20 or so sleepers. And that never would have been as cheap as this. Although this is time consuming, it's pretty permanent. And the main thing is around here, I've got fields on all sides, the railway line, and a lot of drainage ditches. So we do get quite a lot of rodents come to visit. So concrete all the way down to the ground is about the only way to make sure you're not going to have visitors. I even get mice in my shipping containers sometimes. Lots of traps in there. I can use proper traps in there because my dog and cat can't get in there, you know. So, or the kids. So what? Here we go. Formwork coming off. Leaving a nice little wall. And that'll get cut up and used as firewoods. So that's a Timco fastener I'm using to attach the base rail. I'm not sure what they're called. Timco's the manufacturer. They're basically like pop rivets for concrete. You know, they've got a steel nail that goes into an aluminium sheath, I suppose. And here I'm using actual pop rivets to assemble the eaves of the shed. Yeah. So almost as soon as I started erecting this, I had to stop following the instructions. You know, the instructions say to do all the walls first, but that wouldn't have worked for me because I've got a 20-foot span, so I needed to get some of the roof structure in there to support the 20-foot span. And here I've got the two leftover eaves that I wouldn't have used, and I'm assembling them back to back to make one mid-length support for the roof, which you'll see in a minute. Yeah, using all the components that would have been used if this was one of the gables, I suppose. This is the ridge piece, but it's not a ridge piece anymore. These are meant to be assembled back to back. I'm just nailing it onto the wall. Again with those Timco fasteners. Okay, how you doing? Alright, so I got nearly halfway along the roof before it got too dark for me last night, and that's reasonably rigid now. You know. It's I think the silicone's probably really helped stiffen things up a bit, because there's no real play in the structure. Unfortunately, we did get a bit of wind last night, and the side of the shed without any roof has become quite badly damaged. Look what the wind's done to it, and I don't, you know, that shouldn't really happen. I don't see how this happened. It's just so weak and floppy without the roof there, isn't it? It's only got a little bit of the structure, you know. So if anyone's watching this and considering getting one of these sheds, I can't stress enough how important it is to do this on a wind-free day. You know, and give yourself enough time to get it at least closed in with sheets on both ends, you know. So having the all three sheets at the corner, that would make a huge difference. So, you know, even if you haven't got a wall complete, you'd still want your roof sheet on. And the instructions say to leave these purlings until the walls are finished. But man, like if I had the choice of leaving it with the wall complete or pinning the purlings on and having a roof sheet at the corners as well as an end and a side, you know, just one of each is enough. I would go with having, you know, 3 planes of sheet as opposed to one complete. You know what I mean? Let me show you from outside. It's a mess now. I can straighten it all out. I'm not that upset about it. Look at that. Doesn't help. There's obviously the railway line there, and the freight trains do produce a bit of a bow wave when they go past. So maybe that's helped, or not helped. Maybe that's helped destroy my shed. Anyway, it's not that much of a problem. I can straighten it all out. It's just you know, something I thought I'd bring to your attention. If this wasn't bolted to a wall and that happened both sides, then the end would be sat on the floor right now, I think. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Be mindful of that, folks. Right, I'm going to get on with my roof. A little bit of a mishap there, yeah. And as I alluded to, I'm putting silicone, copious amounts of silicone on every joint, and using large-headed pop rivets, because they're much better than the fastener supplied with this kit. A little bit of an investment to make it a bit better, which I'll probably recommend doing. You know, if you're considering getting one of these sheds, just get a box of silicone. Here I'm using one of the corner pieces that were unused to form the panel beside the door, but because the corrugations don't match up with my door size, I'm just folding over one of the edges so we don't have a sharp edge on the outside of the shed, you know, where you can touch it and run your hand against it. There we go, panel going on. I mean, it does look kind of smart. I wouldn't say it looks smart, but it looks kind of smart. There's much nicer ways to make a shed. I mean, this did work out incredibly cheap for what it is. I'll go through that at the end, but yeah. Okay, folks, as you can see, my doorway's ready to take a frame now. I'm going to paint this eventually, probably not this winter. You know, I need a good few days dry weather, decent warm dry weather, so that'll wait till next summer. So I'm not too worried about all these rivets and the odd bit of silicone poking out here and there, because it'll end up white like the rest of the house. Why? Okay. What I've noticed though is every time a train goes past, these walls pant a little bit. You know, I don't think it's just because I haven't got a corner here. That would definitely help, as we'd only have sort of 10 foot each side unsupported, but with this 20-foot span, there's it does a Mexican wave. I'll try and catch it on camera if I can. But either way, what I'm going to do to try and remedy it is using the 3 or so unused sheets that I have, because obviously I used all the roof sheets, so there's a total of 20 foot of roof sheets, one for each side of the apex, and I've just done one 20-foot span. I've used the front of the shed, which had the doors in it. I've used both sides, but I've not used the back of the shed, have I? So I've got a few spare sheets. This, coincidentally, this was one of the unused corner pieces, so that's sort of tidied up the entrance very nicely. My frame's going to sit against that. So what I'm going to do with the unused sheets is basically put them back to back with these, so it'll come out a little way where I've doubled up the sheets, because I'll basically create a 2-inch box section profile as opposed to just a corrugated profile, and with enough silicone sealant on there, I'm pretty sure that'll stiffen up the entire side of the shed so it doesn't ripple anymore. Oh, bit dark in here. Alright, happy campers. So I've got some panels on the inside of this shed, and it has firmed things up beautifully. You can see here Obviously I don't have enough panels to go the whole way along, but it's still pretty floppy. But now that the silicon's gone off on these, there's no real giving them whatsoever. So that's nice, and we're not getting the Mexican wave effect when a train goes past. Okay, for the door, this is really the last thing we've got to do on this shed. For the door, I've made an angle iron door frame up. I just I brought it out and fitted it up once already. Yeah, no, it's the other way around. It's nearly square, just not perfectly square. The hole in the door, the hole in the shed. So yeah, this is the better fitting side. Alright, we'll just get that first. And then here we go. Alright, well that's roundabout right. So we're going to essentially try and hang a wooden door on a angle iron frame. I would quite like to just buy some hinges and get this thing finished, but it's always difficult going from angle iron to timber with hinges that you can buy off the shelf. So I'll just make some hinges up as well. Probably weld some pins to the frame and then paint the whole frame. I've got some silver primer. Like I say, I'm going to paint this all white, but that won't be till next year, so I'll just paint this up with the zinc silver primer, so it will kind of match the exposed rivets and base rail, and then next year it will all be ready to go white, won't it? And then I'll make some straps to go between the hinge pin and the wooden door. Okay, so here's the door being made up. I've already got my tongue and groove assembled. I'm just sitting it in the frame, so you know, just an easy place to work on it, I suppose. I don't have a bench wide enough to make a door on yet. This is a legend brace door, I suppose, what you'd call it. So we've got tongue and groove on the front, and this is the back side of the door with the horizontals, which I think are the ledges, and the diagonals, which are the braces. One thing I've noticed from watching lots of YouTube is you Americans, you'd like to have braces going in different directions, so you'll have a sort of diamond pattern if you put the two doors together. We don't do that over here, you know, frowned upon, I suppose. I don't know how much difference it makes, but you always want your braces running towards the hinge. Well, that's what I've always thought anyway. I'm just putting a bit of a shim between the frame and the wall, so when I bang the fastener in, it doesn't bend the frame. That all got silicone afterwards as well. I did use a lot of silicone, almost an entire box of 12. Probably 10 tubes, I think. Seal up all the shed. Shed's done. Shed's finished. Let's have a little chat about it. Okay, so my original hope was for a quick cheap shed to pop up here, so I could throw things like paddling pools and whatnot in there. You know, the kids stuff for outside mostly, and maybe the cement mixer and whatever else. Although that step's going to be a bit of a pain in the arse with heavy stuff, so probably not. What are my thoughts? I've not really achieved that. So this shed cost me about 300 quid, and I spent another 300 quid on concrete, fasteners, the doors, and silicone. Yeah, that's it. That was my shopping list, really, I think. And the steel work for around the doors, and door locks, actually, yeah, as well. So yeah, there's about 600 quid here, and that's got me a 5 foot by 20 foot shed. I think I probably could have done it for that money if I didn't have a floor and just had timber uprights, feather edge siding, and a clear plastic PVC, corrugated PVC roof. That would have probably been around about the same sort of money, and I think this is probably better than that option, although that might have been a bit quicker to put up. How long did this take? Overall this took me about 2 weeks. So I poured the concrete in a day, then left that for a week because you don't want to be putting fasteners into green concrete, so that wanted a bit of time to go off properly. And then on and off, I suppose I've been farting around with it for another week, but you know that's not assembling the whole thing in a week. There's probably only a day there, I suppose, to put the shed up, and then you know a bit more time for doing the doors and whatnot. So there are definitely quicker ways of doing this. I think railway sleepers on the base, just to sit this on, would have been a lot quicker. However, it's never nice to have timber in contact with the ground, and you know what I've got here is a nice concrete footing and a steel door frame. So if I ever want to get rid of this shed and put a brick one up, I could probably go straight off this concrete, although the concrete's got a bit of a runoff, you know, so when the water comes down the side of the shed, I'm sure you saw me put that half-inch bit of wood on the spirit level when I was putting my shuttering up, and that you know, and then I levelled off that uneven shuttering half-inch higher on the other side, so we've got a half-inch drop over 6 inches here. That's worked quite nicely. Anyway, so what am I saying? I don't know. Yeah, it's really if you've got a specific requirement that really wants something very cheap, relatively quick. I mean, if you're not buggering around with it and trying to raise the level of this shed, then you're going to get it done a lot quicker. Especially if you've already got a concrete pad and you've bought one of these sheds for 300 quid. I would definitely recommend buying a box of silicone and assembling it, putting silicone on every fastener and every joint in the sheeting, because it won't be watertight otherwise. And even if you do get it watertight, this thing's going to sweat a little bit, I think. I'm on the shady side of the house here, so I don't think it'll be too bad, and you know the wall's going to act as a massive temperature moderator, so it's not going to be like in a shipping container or something. It's going to be a lot more controlled than that, but at the same time not as good as a timber lean-to shed. Then I suppose the next thing I'd do, again, if I was just putting this on a concrete pad as the manufacturer intends, is to get some big-headed pop rivets. So I think that's definitely stiffened the whole thing up. Obviously the Timco, they're great for going into masonry. It really wants to be attached to the ground very well, doesn't it? So there's my big head rivets, and they're not expensive. That's like 500 for about 15 quid or something like that. And I've used probably 400 of them. So definitely recommend the air-powered pop rivet gun. Otherwise you're going to have a sore hand. I'm very happy I put this on a concrete ledge. If I stand on the concrete, you'll see how short yeah, this is what it would be like in here if I didn't have this raised up on concrete, which would be quite annoying. But if you're just using it for storing stuff, I don't really see the problem in that. You know, I can see this being a very, very tempting option for a lot of people because of the price and the ease of it all. I get that. I don't like it. I'm not happy with what I've done. I don't feel proud of myself. It's just a bit shit, really. But I think with a few few little extra bits here and there, you can make this into an okayish shed. And certainly it is possible to do what I've done, as I hopefully demonstrated, and turn the 10x10 shed into a 5x20 lean-to. That's about it, guys. That's about it. I could have used the original doors. You know, I wanted something taller than the midget door that was supplied, and also they were, you know, don't buy one of these thinking it's going to be secure. I live nicely out of the way. There's no real domestic crime around here, I suppose. I don't think anyone's going to try and break into this. If I didn't live in an area that's out of the way, then I probably wouldn't think about getting one of these sheds, you know, because I'm pretty sure I could go through the side of one of these with a with a kitchen knife and just unzip it. And then the doors are, I don't know, I think I'd probably be able to just lean against them and they'd fold in, but you know, I've not tried that. I've not put the door in. There's no way I could have used the original door setup, so you could use the original door setup. If you kept things flat, you'd just have a sliding door at each end, I suppose, and you don't even need a door at that end. You've got enough spare panels, because obviously you're only 3 sides, not 4. You know, that's half your sidewalls, isn't it? So you've got enough spare panels that you could either put a solid wall at one end or doors both ends with what's in the kit. Yeah. Yeah, definitely something to consider if you're just looking for the cheapest possible way to get a lean-to, which is kind of what I was doing, but it went wrong. I spent a bit of money, ended up with something that was a bit taller, a bit more usable, I think. Perhaps not twice as usable, but yeah, like I say, I've got the beginnings of a decent shed if this one has to come down. Anyway, I can hear a train coming, so call it a day, folks, and hope you found that interesting, helpful, something. I'm going to get on with something more important. The train's coming, I'll see you later.